All of Jonathan's medical doctors know that I'm going to absolutely puddle when we come in to visit. Bad news, good news, just a regular checkup. It matters not. Crying is my emotional outlet for a range of emotions. But through the tears, they all know that I am listening to every word they say, because being strong as a caregiver means I'm the ears for my survivor when there is so much to comprehend. Being strong is interpreting all that one hears and learns from the medical community so that I can share the journey of my survivor to our family, our friends, and our greater community. In my role as Jonathan's caregiver, I found comfort through journaling in Jonathan's Caring Bridge site. As I journaled, not only did it help me process the technical information that the medical professionals were sharing, but it helped me link a community of readers together who are all praying for Jonathan and for myself. Journaling, finding the perfect photos and images to add levity to the day's posts, and reciprocated reading and commenting by our viewing community helped me reflect on the entire cancer experience so that I could be at my strongest for Jonathan.
Now, from the outset, we knew that being public with my diagnosis and my experience was really our purpose. It was clear right away that at the age of 47, closing in on 48, another birthday to be had, that part of my role was to raise awareness about men's health, and particularly prostate cancer, a type of cancer that doesn't usually find its way to someone as young as me. And furthermore, I'd only begun being disciplined about taking my annual physical exams with my doctor 3 years earlier. Furthermore, I also knew it was my opportunity. It's a platform I'd been given to be vocal about my faith in the Lord and about truly the greatest strength that He had to offer me. Cancer is no doubt a new journey. It's one that I didn't anticipate. I didn't see it inside of my family, with the exception of my father, who had been diagnosed with prostate cancer 7 years earlier. But that diagnosis of being a cancer patient and now a cancer survivor is one that I intend to be the very best at that I can. Being quiet about my cancer was a thought that never occurred to me. Yes, I have cancer, but because of the work of the American Cancer Society, I have life. Being entangled with cancer gave me a tremendous opportunity to see blessings, to receive peace, to experience patience and resilience that I didn't even realize that I had. It gave me new insights, the opportunity to really relish and cherish each day for what it is, not with an anxiety about not having a tomorrow, but realizing that my tomorrow could be different than today is, and so really relishing each day. I know I'm a more complete person today than I was only 10 months ago. And I can tell you that when I arrived at my room after my first surgery on January 13th, and they needed to move me from that recovery stage into the room I was going to stay in for a few days, and they said to me, "Can you get up and walk to your bed?" I thought, oh my gosh, you have to be kidding. That's going to hurt so much, and I'm not sure I can do that. But I knew that I had a long road of surgeries and recoveries in front of me, and I had to press on. I had to go forward. After all, as someone once told me, God cannot steer a parked car. And coincidentally enough, the day earlier, I had posted one of the few journal entries I did. I had quoted Romans 12, which says, "Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer."
And some of you are familiar with the term Sherpa, the highly regarded elite mountaineers who serve as guides to our climbers of some of our world's most famous mountain ranges. Jonathan lovingly calls me his Sherpa. I smile because this means I'm showing strength as a caregiver. Yes, in Sherpa style, I drive in all kinds of weather conditions, because we have to get to the top of the mountain at all costs. I carry the bags and I ensure we get parked in the right ramps. I find the closest elevators, find the most expeditious routes to desks 5 and 7, make sure we have bottled water, carry a pail in case sickness occurs en route. And as Jonathan's Sherpa, I communicated back to our base camp, always being mindful that my attitude and my emotional state through writing, in text messages, and telephone calls would set the tone for others' strength. And as Jonathan's caregiver, I've learned the power of optimism, hopefulness, encouragement, and tenacity. I learned quickly that these elements would be powerful allies in his overall recoveries and his long-term healing. Sherpas have to be skilled in helping move the climbers safely up the mountain, just like caregivers have to be skilled in knowing what will help their survivor move forward from a state of mind and a state of heart.
Ginger did indeed become my Sherpa, and I began learning a great deal. I began learning that it's okay to let others take the lead, whether that be family or friends. They're there to provide you support, and you can depend on them. I learned that I could lead on my colleagues, the people that I spend so much time with at work, for example. It gave them an opportunity to shine, and it reminded me that I hired well. I learned how grateful I became for those cards that I got every day in our mailbox, for the stuffed animals that arrived in boxes, or the blankets and handmade clothing that I got, the food, the rides, the calls, the emails, the texts, the guest book entries, and the journal replies. These were all very personal expressions of compassion. And it was incredible how it continued to represent this piling on of blessings and joy that I had never before experienced in my life. It bolstered my strength daily, and that, coupled with the regular reading of the scripture verses that I was chronicling that people were sending to me, gave me unbelievable strength. And one of the stories that I shared this morning with TJ and Lisa was this essence that athletes talk about the home field advantage. They talk about what it's like to be able to play in front of their fans, the fans that are cheering and screaming for them. I think events like this, Relay for Life, are a lot like that for those of us as survivors and even for caregivers, that we're surrounded by our fans that are cheering for us, cheering us on for success and victory, and that we'll be better. I've just often wondered how or what did I do to deserve this packed stadium that I've been so fortunate and so blessed to experience.
Being strong as a caregiver means to nimbly dance with one's survivor in the ballroom of life. This can be a very foreign experience if the caregiver is suddenly thrust into the lead role, the one guiding the two across the ballroom floor, supporting, nurturing, and confidently demonstrating to the other, I have you. You'll not fall. I've got you.
I really didn't think it was possible for Ginger's loving of me to be even greater than I had experienced in what's coming up on our 24 years of marriage. But I learned otherwise. As she said, she became my driver. She served as my RN. She became our publicist as a family. And yes, even those times when I felt like a dog going to the vet clinic, she pressed on. I didn't imagine that the words "in sickness" in our marriage vows could ever be this dramatic or this intense. And what made it particularly more astonishing and amazing to me was that she was able to do all of this and continues to do all of it amid the need that she had at that time in November to really go through her own grieving and own healing process, because we'd lost her father only 2 months before my diagnosis after an 8-year battle he had with cancer. And she was able to step in the middle of that grief and pain and care for me the way that she did.
But what Jonathan and I both know about this experience is that God has his arms wrapped around us both while we dance and while we climb mountains. God is channeling through the writings and reflections, prompting reciprocation from our caring community, And when Jonathan said that he needed me to be strong, God answered.
So what's our status today? Following 3 surgeries within 45 days at the beginning of the year, one to remove the mass on my kidney, a second for something referred to as a lymphoceal, and the third, a full prostatectomy. The amount of physical pain and discomfort that comes with that kind of surgery experience, too many days to count in terms of stays in the hospital, and a slow, methodical, and patient rehabilitation, we finally got to the point in the middle of June where we'd reached our 3-month checkups for both the kidney cancer and the prostate cancer. The kidney cancer was on pathology determined to be stage 2 clear cell carcinoma, and the prostate cancer, a bit more aggressive, a bit more concerning, stage 3 Gleason's 9. But as of June 11th, I was pronounced to be NED, no evidence of disease. And now we enter that stage Ginger labels super surveillance mode. Every 3 months for at least the next 2 years, I'll go in to be tested for both cancers. And if either one of them even dares to show evidence of trying to regain a foothold, then on we'll go to the next stage of treatment. But in the meantime, only a couple of weeks ago, Ginger said to me one of the most encouraging statements I think she could have. She looked at me one morning after I'd returned from a vigorous workout at the Y. I think it was a swim where I had swam a mile in less than 35 minutes, which was the pace I did prior to cancer. She said, "Jonathan, you're not only surviving cancer, you are thriving." I'm truly humbled and honored to be asked to be this year's honorary survivor. But I have to tell you, I'm even more excited about Ginger to having been asked to be this year's honorary caregiver. And I'm thankful that the American Cancer Society takes the time and is deliberate about recognizing the caregivers, because in my experience, I think sometimes they go about their work quietly and humbly, and they truly are the unsung warrior in the battle of cancer.
And so, to all the survivors here tonight, along with their dear, precious caregivers, we wish all of you God's love, peace, and most especially, strength.
We've been blessed with those things, and we hope you have the same. Thank you.
Thank you.